Good afternoon, my friends. This is Paul, and today I'm going to be reviewing Whispering Willows for the Wii U. This game has you controlling a girl named Elena who is trying to find her father, and she must navigate through a lot of creepy locales such as the insides of catacombs, a haunted mansion, and underneath a well in order to do so. She has two unique powers to help her in her quest. The first is an amulet that she wears around her neck that allows her to detect spiritual forces. If the necklace glows blue, which is more than often the case, you'll know that there's a spirit in the area that you can speak to either learn more about the story or to get hints on where to go next. If the necklace glows red, then that means there's an enemy spirit that can one-hit kill her. Thankfully, you don't really need to panic about these, as the combat encounters are usually over in a matter of seconds. The checkpoints are very forgiving, so even if you do get hit, it's not really that big of a deal. And there's not too many combat encounters. I may have counted like 5 the entire game off the top of my head. And some of them were so forgettable that I may not even be naming all of them. This game is very story-heavy, but most of it is told in the past, similar to how Breath of the Wild handles its story. As you search through the areas, you find notes that are left behind by the former inhabitants, and then you have to piece together the order of when the events took place, and then relate them to how Elena is in this situation in the first place. This is a pretty cool way of telling stories, especially because the notes are listed in chronological order, but you don't find them in order. So if you're determined on reading the notes as soon as you get them, you might be a little bit confused by how the story progresses. Eventually things click good enough, but considering that most of it is either really violent or really spiritual, it didn't hold my interest for too long until the very end, and even then it was over way too quickly. I feel like this game is definitely worth sitting through, but sometimes getting there can be a little bit of a chore. One of the biggest hassles for me was the loading screens. Every single time you go through a door or an opening, there's a loading screen. And the reason why I deliberately didn't edit them out of this footage is to show you that if you think this is annoying through my video, just imagine having to play through this entire game. Thankfully, the narrative only takes about 3 to 4 hours to complete, probably less than that if you know what you're doing. So this is an extremely short game that feels longer than it should because the game refuses to give you a map. If that were the case, then I probably would have beaten this game in more like 2 hours, but as it is, a lot of the hallways look really similar, and so I ended up having to backtrack more than I needed to, which resulted in twice as many loading screens as I would have liked. In addition, since this is a Wii U game, you would think that the gamepad would be optimized in some way. And it technically is, but technically isn't at the same time, which is weird, so let me explain a little bit. You can play this game off-screen, which is what I did. I managed to beat the entire game without turning on the TV. However, when you do so, the game isn't fully optimized to take advantage of the second screen. For starters, none of the cutscenes have sound or music, so you're just going to have to put together the bits and pieces of the still images that are shown to you. Also, things are a little bit more cluttered, as you have to press the plus button to look at your notes and Elena's diary entries, whereas if you're playing on the TV, the notes and the diary take place on the gamepad. So you can just look down at that, just like Elena would look down to read a note. So it feels pretty intuitive, actually. I feel like this isn't a game that was made specifically for the Wii U. In fact, I know it wasn't, because this actually came out 5 years ago on traditional consoles. Why they waited until 2020 to release it, especially on the Wii U, I don't know. But it is nice to have a quality title like this making its way onto Nintendo's dead handheld, giving Nintendo owners a reason to dust off their old console. Overall, Whispering Willows was a really good game. While its story didn't captivate me as much as I would like, it did have a really cool ending and some pretty unique puzzles that involved separating Elena from her spirit. The slow walking speed and the obnoxious load times held it back from being truly magnificent, but I could definitely see people looking for a deeper, more outside-the-box type of story could find this game pretty pleasing. On the Wii U eShop, it's currently $10, which I feel like is an okay price for a game this short. You might want to wait for it to go on sale because you're only going to get about 1 to 3 hours worth of gameplay. In fact, I would even say you'd get less enjoyment out of this than you would in the main console release because the Wii U version doesn't come with achievements, which makes exploring the area seem a little bit pointless. Nevertheless, this is definitely one of the better Wii U titles, and if you're looking for an excuse not to sell your system, this is a good reason to hold on to it. With that, thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or critiques, or if there's anything I missed, please leave them in the comment section. In addition, I'd like to thank one of my subscribers, Furim Industries, for reminding me that I have a bell on my channel. I actually didn't think that someone with as little subscribers as me would have that privilege, but as it turns out, you can click on the bell icon next to the subscribe button to get notifications for whenever I post a new video. So you might want to consider that if you haven't already. I'm not going to force you as I don't really get paid for this, but it might help in case you're a diehard fan of my videos and you don't want to wait for my Twitter announcements. So with that, truly, thank you very much for watching, and until the next time, keep the faith, stay epic, God bless, and don't dabble in the occult like this game says, because that is a huge no-no in the Catholic Church. Bye!